normalizing in your current reality? And why is it normal for you? And what are the things you would not want to normalize anymore? And this is the topic that I want to talk about. I want to share with you today some of the breakthroughs that I was having recently, last week actually, and even today, on the topic of normalizing. I realized whatever we consider normal is our reality, and whatever we consider we don't want that to be a normal, we either get rid of it, we don't live it anymore, or we make sure that that's not part of our reality. And I want to give you some of the examples of what are the things that I used to believe is normal, and then I didn't want that to be normal at some point in my life, and therefore it is no longer in my life. And that got me also thinking into what are the things I actually want to be normal in my life, and why aren't they normal yet? Hi everyone, my name is Salor Molova. If we haven't met, I'm a life coach for transitioning humanitarians. And I talk about transitioning in the way of where and how we want to live our lives. That is intentional and that's amazing. That you would like to transition to, whether it's job wise, whether it's relationship, or whether it's just personally growing, or all of them together. So, this is what I realized, you guys, that I think we somehow know about this, but maybe we also don't in some way. So that's why I wanted to bring to your awareness today. There was a time in my life I used to believe violence in the family was normal. And then I realized, being exposed to other cultures, other countries, that violence was not normal in every culture or in every country. And then I was like, oh, I don't want violence to be normal anymore in my life. Right? Whether it's physical violence, psychological violence, I don't want that to be normal in my life. And even though I grew up in a violent family, and even though my parents were, well, my father was a violent man, and in fact, even I went to visit the cemetery of my biological father yesterday, a biological father that I never knew and didn't know, but somehow I felt it's time to visit his cemetery, and I did. He was I think one of the most violent person existed, who violently used to beat his family and children, including, and all of it. So that's why I went to see him yesterday in the cemetery, and after 5 years of him dying. And that got me also thinking into how he used to believe in his life that violence was normal, right? And beating wife and children was a more normal behavior. And then he died, and we all had our obviously traumas and everything, but we at some point, all children, I believe, decided that we don't want that experience, right? We don't want that to be normal in our lives. And therefore, we've all created relationships and families and a loving relationship that does not include violence at all, right? So that's why at some point that decision to not create or the do the same thing over and over again that our parents did led us to a life where this is not normal anymore. The other thing that I realized also that being in the UN and climbing the ladder that took a long time, like if it didn't take 10 years or 5 years for you to climb the ladder, then it wouldn't be normal, right? And that's what we did. We climbed the ladder. And the other thing was that getting a salary and being taken care of by the system was a normal thing for me at some point. And then I realized, no, I don't want that dependency on the system. I don't want that to be normal. And therefore, I decided to resign and go my own path of coaching. And then I realized, okay, I want my new normal to be my freedom, right? My new normal to be where I'm in charge of my own safety and security and stability. I don't want anyone else to take care of that, because the minute I allow someone else to take care of that, then the minute I become dependent on that person or on that system. And I wouldn't want to do that, because I want to respect and honor my autonomy, my sovereignty as a human. So that's why I realized, okay, that's normal now, right? It's normal that I take care of myself and my safety and security and stability. I consider normal to not be afraid of my fears or my emotions. I know how to deal with them. I also consider normal that I don't become victim of my circumstances. I don't become victim of other people's judgments. But I also, as I coach a lot of humanitarians, I also know that for many people struggling with self confidence, struggling with a lot of emotions, struggling with a lot of uncertainty is normal, right? They just think that this is how it should be. And and then as I coach them and to recognize that that doesn't need to be normal if they don't want to. And I think the whole point of me really doing this episode today is to get you start looking at what you are considering to be normal. Like, I know that a lot of humanitarians that I coach, they consider having a very toxic boss is normal, right? Or tolerating the toxic boss's behavior is normal. Or in my time when I started my humanitarian journey, harassment was a normal thing. I remember being harassed by several of my bosses and me not knowing what to do about it, and feeling like so awkward and embarrassed, as if I was like to blame and I was like ashamed and all of those things. And even though it was nothing to do with me, but I normalized that. I normalized somehow that tolerating and suppressing was a normal thing, right? And then years later, when UN was very harsh on harassment, sexual harassment, PSEA, and then protection from sexual violence was a very big campaign, that's when I realized, oh, I was not supposed to normalize that. That was not normal. Me being harassed sexually by several people, senior people in my organization, was not a normal thing. And then I, in fact, started recognizing that I no longer want that to be normal. And if I experience that, I'm going to report about it, or better yet, tell to them into their face. And that's in fact what I did. And then there's so many things that I started realizing that whatever we think is normal becomes our reality. Whatever we don't want it to be normal anymore, it becomes the past. And that's what I would like for you to bring to your awareness. So a lot of humanitarians that I coach, they consider transitioning to be a very hard, arduous, suffering thing to go through, and they think this is normal. But why are we considering that to be normal? Right? And then people tell me, well, because I'm like observing how others are doing it. But then I'm also like challenging people to see that there are a lot of other people who are doing it without that hard and arduous and long term suffering. Why aren't we taking them as reference? Right? So if you go to the internet, you will probably find evidence for all possible claims that you can make. If you make, I don't know, making money is hard and arduous, you will find tons of evidence from other people's accounts that suggests that's the case. If you believe that no, making I don't know, millions, billions is possible and maybe not easy, but you can absolutely do that, and there are lots of different ways to do that. If you believe that to be your truth, then you will find a lot of evidence for that. And that's why I just want you to see what you are currently considering normal and who are you using as a reference point for it. And most importantly, why are you using them as a reference point? So, humanitarians that I coach, they tend to think the like transitioning is hard and arduous. Transitioning takes a long time. Transitioning is something that they I don't know, need to think about like several years before making decision. Um, or humanitarians that I coach who believe, excuse me, who consider what is normal is keep tolerating all the toxic behavior, keep tolerating staying in the toxic environment, keep tolerating going to work and forcing themselves to work because of just how a responsible, mature human being does. These are normal for them, right? And then I ask them or I get them challenged about why do they want this to be normal? Like at some point I remember in the humanitarian sector going to hardship duty stations and suffering through for several years before getting a family duty station was a normal thing. And then some of us challenged that concept and said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be spending my time, suffering through an hardship where I feel like I'm not really making any change or difference, but I'm just doing it so I can get myself into the career I want. I don't want to do that. And then we went through without going to those hardships. I, for example, didn't go to a hardship duty station, right? But I'm not saying this to anyway invalidate the experience of people who do want to do that and who want to make a difference and who believe they can do that, and amazing. I honor it and respect it. But a lot of us, I think, we just do things because we just believe that's a normal thing to do, not because that's really where our conviction lies as to how we want to make the difference and how we want to impact or how we want to contribute to the impact. So if you feel like if you're observing yourself currently, what is normal for you, start seeing how that becomes or continues to be your reality, right? A lot of people, humanitarians, feel like lacking self confidence, fearing judgments, fearing transitioning, fearing their external circumstances is normal, and therefore they just continue being victim of those circumstances over or of those people's judgments. Other people think that what is normal is keep suffering through, keep struggling, keep tolerating things they don't want to. That's normal. And therefore, reality keeps showing to them how that is the case. Because what's interesting about feeling that this is normal is that we don't tend to question or challenge that assumption anymore. We just feel like that's how it should be. And if it's not, and if it's something better or different, we get uh, suspicious about it, right? We get suspicious about, oh, maybe that's not how it should be, right? Maybe somewhere I'm cheating or something. Like I remember discussing with some of my colleagues back in the humanitarian world is that we used to look at our bank accounts and seeing the salary and we used to feel like, oh my God, I shouldn't be paid this much. This is way too much. I don't deserve it, right? And then looking at, okay, but why? Why are we normalizing not deserving as the cornerstone of everything that we do? So, this is what I'm realizing for my own life, and I would like to share with you in case this is helpful and see if you would like to change what is normal to a new normal. So, as I said, I came from a place where I used to believe violence was normal, and then I realized that's not what I want to do, not only what I want to do, but obviously I am in charge of how not to create relationships that involve violence, right? So, therefore, that became my past and no longer my present for a long time. Then I realized, okay, I don't want my normal to be dependency on the system, emotional dependency, financial dependency, physical dependency, whatever it is. I realize that's not what I want my new normal to be. I want my normal to be where I am in charge of feeling whole and autonomous and independent and free to be doing whatever I want to, wherever I want to, and making my money. And that became my reality. And then I realized, okay, I don't want the normal where I can only make the UN P3 salary, P4 salary, P5 salary, or even D1, D2 high commissioner salary. I don't want that to be exclusive only to those organizations. I want to be able to do this myself. What is stopping me from doing that myself and that being my normal? Right? And then that became my normal because I have started to shift how I see things, how I see my capability. I started to shift how um, I see what's possible in the world. And then that became my normal. And now I am looking at, okay, I would like my new normal to be where I'm the donor of my amazing humanitarian projects. And I would like in my normal life where my clients, if they decide to, they also are donors of their own projects they would like to while living the life they want to. And that's what I would like my new normal to be. My new normal to be where we are no longer dependent on anyone or anything, any system, where we are autonomous, amazing, powerful human beings who is capable of creating whatever we want to and contributing to the impact we want to and making the money we want to. So that's why I would like for you to observe what is your current normal. Look at how your emotional state usually is, how your results of your life is, where you like things or you don't like things. What do you consider normal? What do you consider not normal? And most importantly, what would you like your new normal to be? Is your new normal to be where you no longer have issues with confidence, you no longer have issues with worthiness, you no longer have issues with self-esteem? Amazing. Let's now shift to that reality and observe that reality. If you would like your new normal to be where you're no longer dependent on the system or on the humanitarian sector, or your new normal to be never applying for a job, or new normal to be you feeling free to be doing whatever you want to, let's make some decisions and start working on implementing it. If you would like your new normal to be donors of your own projects, or working only with certain people, or working only with certain companies or with certain individuals, that's what you would like your new normal to be, then let's go to that reality. And I would like for you to really look at the normal that you have now and the new normal that you would like, and then build the bridge in between. How will you get to that new normal, and how will you get to that as of now? So, my dears, if you would like to create some new normals for yourself and get rid of some of the normals that you don't like and you don't want to tolerate anymore, then come coach with me. I would like for you to experience life as of now according to your new normal. Have a beautiful week.